And welcome to America's Tribune, the Prophecy Rising podcast with host David Rouslet. Tonight we're talking about truth versus tradition. Video number 2, the healthcare symbol. Let's get into it. Okay, everyone, welcome to America's Tribune. This is the Prophecy Rising podcast. I am your host, David Rouslet, and today I would like to talk about the healthcare symbol. This will be the second video in a series that we're going to be doing called Truth versus Tradition. So in our Truth versus Tradition series, we kind of go through the tradition being something that's been handed down to you from generation to generation to generation. And a lot of the times, we don't even question where this idea came from or these ideas came from. Take the first video that we did in this series was the video on Easter. And we kind of went through the traditions, how all of these traditions have been handed down, but nobody ever really questions why, for example, why you might have ham every year for Easter. So we're going to kind of do the same kind of breakdown if you saw that video. And if you haven't, go see it. But we're going to do a very similar breakdown here, and we're going to use the healthcare symbol. And I chose this symbol because here we are in 2025, and we're about, 5 years from when COVID hit. So healthcare is a pretty big thing. And I kind of wanted to just get into this whole symbolism idea. We're going to be doing a lot more with symbolism. So the first symbol that I chose to kind of tackle here is the healthcare symbol. And I wrote this article on October 4th, 2023. So it was, we were just coming out of the whole pandemic thing. Things were just starting to calm down, just starting to get back to somewhat normal. So that's probably why I chose to write this when I did. But I just want to kind of go through it and wanted to produce a video on it. Just to make it easier for people to hear the articles. So, and I think it's going to be one of my formats going forward is to write the articles and then do a video on the articles that I'm writing, just to make it easier for people to listen to. So let's get started here. So Truth versus Tradition, healthcare symbol. We live in a very confusing time. There is so much information and disinformation. How are we to know what we're supposed to believe? Well, let's take a look at an example I have chosen as a subject of this article. The symbol used to portray healthcare. And if you look, here's the symbol here. And the symbol is actually, it looks like a brass pole with a couple of wings and serpents. Whether it's one serpent or two serpents, you usually find the pole having some sort of a snake on it or a serpent. So my question is, where did that come from? How did that get to be? That's kind of an odd symbol to have for healthcare, don't you think? Like, who created that? Where did that come from? So let's kind of peel back the onion here, and there's a couple of things to go through. So let's see what we got. So what is this symbol we identify as being representative of a physician or of healing? Does this symbol look familiar to you? When you look at it, does it make you think of a doctor or an ambulance or healthcare or healing? It is the symbol that is currently being used to portray an idea of healing. But where did it come from? Well, what if I told you that this symbol actually says something completely different than what you think? It's actually pretty sinister that they were able to pull this off without people actually realizing what they were doing. In order to understand what I'm talking about, you first have to understand where a serpent on a pole became this symbol of healing. It actually comes from the Bible in the book of Numbers, chapter 21, verses 4 through 9, when God sent serpents to bite the Israelites after they grumbled against Moses, and many of them died. Let's go there real quick and let's see what it says. So here it says, then they journeyed. This is when Moses was leading the people out of Egypt, and I believe this was after they had refused to go into the promised land that God said, go in here, and they didn't go in because they were afraid of the Nephilim. But God had them wander around for quite some time, and here, while they're wandering around, this is one of the things that happened to them. It says, then they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom. And the soul of the people became very discouraged on the way. And the people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and our soul loathes this worthless bread. And the worthless bread they're talking about is the manna that God had raining down on them so that they could eat. So the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. So here you have them grumbling against God. They're grumbling, they're complaining to Moses, and God sends these serpents to bite them. And when the serpents bite them, they're dying. So then it says, therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he takes away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole. And it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole. And so it was, if a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. Now think about that for a minute. A bronze serpent on a pole, more than likely also a bronze pole. So here you have this serpent on a pole, and God tells him, put this serpent on a pole, put it up, and when the people are bit by the serpents, have them look upon this pole, and they'll be better. They will not die. So this was, I guess, can we say this was a form of healthcare that, I mean, they got better. You know, they were sick. They had an ailment. They looked at this thing and they got better. And that's kind of where the whole concept came from for this serpent on a pole. And when the Israelites came to Moses to appeal to God for their sins and make the serpent stop biting them, God told them to make this serpent, this bronze serpent, place it on that pole, and then they would be healed. Now, this symbol, called by the Israelites Nehushtan, was passed down since the days of Moses and stood until Hezekiah saw that it was still, that they still had this pole. And he destroyed it because the Israelites were almost worshiping this pole. So let's see. Here it says in 2 Kings, this is when Hezekiah destroyed the pole. Let's see what 2 Kings 8:14 has to say. 8:1 through 4, not 8:14. 18, I'm sorry. 2 Kings 18, chapter 18, verses 1 through 4. So it says, now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, the son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah, and he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father David had done. He removed the high places and broke the sacred pillars, cut down the wooden image, and broke in pieces the bronze serpent that Moses had made. For until those days the children of Israel burned incense to it and called it Nehushtan. That is crazy, where they were burning incense to this idol. You know, God told them not to worship idols, and then had to make this serpent, bronze serpent, put it on a pole so that they would be well. And here they were, many, many, many years later, still worshiping this thing, but worshiping it as if it had the power and not God. So that is what happened in 2 Kings. It says the symbol reemerged. This symbol reemerged in Greek mythology and Greek society around 300 years before Christ, and was known as the rod of Asclepius. I think I pronounced that right, rod of Asclepius. There is one problem, though. The real symbol that represents healing only had one serpent, not two. So this was the original concept was one serpent. The rod of Asclepius had one serpent. The staff with one serpent can be found in the Star of Life symbol on the side of most ambulances. So this is the symbol that you see on the side of most ambulances in medical service vehicles. The staff with two serpents is a symbol for something completely different. So that's this one with the two serpents kind of looking at each other. It's the one that was up here as well. And caduceus, what does that mean? What is the difference between these two? Why does this one have the wings? You know, because the symbol that God told him to make, it was just a serpent on a pole. There were no wings. So now you have the serpent on a pole, and now you have two serpents, and you have wings attached to it. Where did this come from? So the symbol of the rod with two serpents is actually known as the caduceus, and was the staff carried by the god called Hermes in Greco-Egyptian mythology. The god called Mercury in Roman mythology. Same god. So you got Hermes in Greece and Egypt, and Hermes is the equivalent of Mercury in Roman mythology. And it was also the symbol of the Mesopotamian god known as Ning-Ish-Zida. Ning-Ish-Zida, or Ning-Ish-Zida. That's a crazy word to pronounce. So the word caduceus actually means herald or messenger, which is another word for an angel. Even when you hear the word angel, most people think of angels in heaven. And yeah, angels came from heaven, but there were a lot of angels that fell from heaven. And when they fell from heaven, they brought with them the knowledge of heaven. And they taught this knowledge to men, and in particular, mostly to women. When we start thinking about, things like witchcraft, witchcraft was... today we have this negative connotation to it the negative connotation. Where does that come from? Well, it comes from the idea that these fallen angels taught these women, after they took them for wives, they taught them some of this heavenly knowledge, and men as well. So you have, if you've read the book of Enoch, you would know that Azazel, he was the angel who actually was their god of war. And he came out and he taught men how to pull metal out of the ground and forge it into weapons and armor. So you had these other angels who took women as brides, and the angels taught them different things to do with nature, whether it's herbs, whether it's, different healing methods. So here we have, and think about this for a minute. We take a look at these healthcare symbols. The word caduceus, which actually means angel, and here we have two serpents on a pole with two wings. The staff was the symbol of Hermes, who was the god of commerce and thieves, and was their protector. So think about that. Protector of thieves. That's what this symbol is. It is the protector of thieves. Absolutely insane. Now think about that. Where this these medical symbols come from. So you have this one with one serpent and no wings. The one with one serpent is the symbol that was given to Moses to put up so that the Hebrews, when they came out of Egypt, would look upon it and be healed. And then you have the one with two serpents, which was Hermes and his symbol of protection for thieves. And let's see who actually uses which symbol. Here we have the U.S. Public Health Service, forged in 1798. And if you can see here, going straight up and down, you have the wings and you have the two serpents. The protector of thieves, U.S. Public Health Service. So, we have Trump in there right now kind of tearing apart all the bureaucracy, getting rid of all these things that have been thieving our money, taxpayer money, for who knows how long. The bureaucracy that has been built up inside of our government, and that bureaucracy has just been stealing money hand over fist. And now we have, look at this, medical corps. And the medical corps, same symbol, thieves. The Navy Environmental and Preventative Medicine Unit 2, same thing. So we have I only included 3 of these symbols, but I mean, we can go through, insurance companies, we can go through healthcare companies, and we can kind of go through and see who's using what, who's using which symbol is the correct symbol, which symbol is the correct, who is using the correct symbol. And it kind of makes you wonder, if our government agencies are using the symbol of commerce and thieves instead of healing, is it any wonder why Dr. Fauci didn't want anyone to know his government agency? The NIH took money from the Obama-Biden administration to create COVID in a lab in Wuhan, only to give billions in taxpayer money to big pharma corporations that sold snake oil. Yes, snake oil. That's what you were pumping in to your body. Go get your booster of snake oil in the form of a non-functioning vaccine that did nothing to stop the transmission of the virus and did nothing in the form of anything that was ever called a vaccine. They actually had to change the definition of the word vaccine just to be able to call it a vaccine. This was nothing more than the theft of American wealth at the expense of American health. Symbols tell stories, and if we know their history and take the time to read them, we will be that much better off, because these people go through and rob us blind. And people wonder, why so many people got behind a man like Donald Trump. And he is the guy who is taking on these organizations, this bureaucracy that is stealing all of our money. And you look at, guys like Elon Musk, same thing. You look at all these rallies that are going on around the country that are, against Elon Musk. But you talk to these people, you got all of these people who go in there to talk to them. Not one of them can answer any questions as to why they're there, why they hate Elon. They don't know anything. And a lot of them are being paid to be there. Yeah, $20 an hour, $25 an hour if you carry a sign. That is not a protest. That is a paid, organized, what would you call it? You wouldn't call it a protest. I guess it would just be propaganda. Paid, organized propaganda. So keep that in mind when you see, they give us these symbols. They put it out there right in your face, and they think that you're stupid. They don't think you're stupid. They know that we are dumbed down because they've been controlling our schools. They've been controlling the information that we get, and they can't do that anymore. You got men like Elon Musk who bought Twitter and stopped the suppression of information and made it so that now this kind of information can be spoken on the platforms, where before the left was trying to say, oh, this is misinformation, shut it down. Anything that disagreed with their narrative, they wanted control of it. They wanted to shut it down. No more. Now, with men like Elon Musk, with men like Donald Trump, and more up and coming, this is not going to happen anymore. Not for some time anyway. Not until Trump's out of there anyway. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. He's got 4 years to wrap all of this stuff up. But, I thank you for joining me on this Truth First tradition. I kept it short and sweet. Going to try and keep them short and sweet. I know some of them have got into an hour and a half long. It's a little long to watch video, but try and keep them short and sweet. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you come over to America's Tribune on americastribune.com, make sure to set up a profile. Follow us on there as well. We're producing the articles on there. There's going to be all kinds of different content that we're putting out on there as well. So hopefully, hopefully you've found us on all of our other social media, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and Rumble. And if you need to know, just kind of click on these areas right here, and you'll be able to follow us on there as well. Thanks for watching. God bless.